So good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Lebedz. I am a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt and Certified Project Management Professional and the President and CEO of Learning to Lean. And I'm so happy to have you here today to talk about an introduction to two things I'm extraordinarily passionate about, Lean and Six Sigma. So as I mentioned, I am the president and CEO of a lean consulting firm called Learning to Lean. I'm based out of Hortonville, Wisconsin. I am a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt and Certified Project Management Professional and Emotional Intelligence Coach. I'm also an author. I've written 3 different books that you can find on Amazon, and I have over 20 years of experience in project management, continuous improvement, leadership, and coaching inside and outside of manufacturing. So I spent many years in electronics manufacturing and also in IT. So I have many years of experience in IT and supply chain in a wide variety of different areas. So I'm excited to have you here with us today. And here's our agenda. So we have a quick 1-hour meeting, and we will be talking about continuous improvement and what is lean and what is waste. We'll also talk about what is Six Sigma and variation. What is value and who defines it? What's a process? And where do you start in a Lean Six Sigma journey? And of course, real life examples that I'm always so excited to share with everyone to show you really the power of these concepts. So let's jump right in and talk about what is continuous improvement. So continuous improvement is a cycle with no end, right? So it's a continuous cycle where we are working to, first of all, eliminate waste, and we'll talk more about waste in just a second, always improving, creating a repeatable process with predictable results. Now, that's what we want to have in every part of our business and every process, right? We want our processes to work the same every time we do it until we make it better. But reality is that we don't always have that situation. And it can be very frustrating. You're building or making or delivering a service, and it's been working this way for a while. And then all of a sudden, like the tires fall off the bus, right? The wheels fall off the bus and everything stops working the way we want it to. So continuous improvement really, though, is focusing on how can we prevent those things from happening, how we can make things better all the time, and how we can do it as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Now, continuous improvement is also never giving up on the pursuit to make things better for our employees, for our customers, and for our families. So it's full circle. Now, so we have continuous improvement, which is the overarching concept. If we start to divide that concept into 2 different thought patterns, the first one we'll talk about is lean. So what exactly is lean? Lean at its focus or its core is the elimination of waste. And we'll talk about waste more here in just a second. But waste is utilizing resources, but adding no value. So we'll also talk about value in one moment. Lean is about producing what is needed, when it's needed, with the least amount of waste. Now, producing doesn't always mean it has to be a physical thing. Producing could be a data, right? Virtual, or it could be a service. So how are we delivering what is needed, when it's needed, with the least amount of waste? How can we do that? And that's the focus of lean. And we do that through the elimination of waste. And as I said, waste is something that utilizes resources, but adds no value. So we're working really hard, right? And we get no return. And that's really what waste is all about. So what are we talking about? What exactly is this? So let's say that examples of waste, maybe you go to the doctor's office. My husband just came back from the doctor's office. And guess what? What's a waste? Go to the doctor's office, they take all those vials of blood, and you go in for your appointment. They're like, oh, we forgot to test your cholesterol. That would be a waste because then you'd have to go back and have that test done over again. And let's face it, we all just fasted for that test. We don't want to have to do that again. What's another example of waste? Wrong drug prescription, right? I don't know about you, but I've gone to the pharmacy and I had the wrong drug prescription. That's another waste, right? So luckily, while I was still at the pharmacy, I opened the bag and I looked and I recognized that this was not what I was looking for. And let's just say that I won't have a heart attack and somebody else will not have a baby. So uh, there is waste in that process too. And of course, if you are in a manufacturing environment, right, we understand the waste of scrap or defect or, heaven forbid, a product recall, right? So we don't want product recalls, of course. So if you have to recall a product or even recall a service, that's a waste too. So there's waste surrounding us. And in the digital world, there's bugs in your code. So being in IT for many years, right? Many people really believe like, oh, we have to make sure this is 100% correct. And there's nothing wrong with that. But reality is there's always going to be some sort of glitch, right? It's impossible to be 100% accurate. Let's just look at our phones, right? So how many updates do you get for the operating system on your phones? And they are sending out those updates because there are bugs in the code. So there's waste every time they do that, right? There's frustrated customers and lack of a customer satisfaction experience. So all of those things that we're talking about that can be waste, going to the doctor and not getting the right test done, getting the wrong drug prescription, doing a product recall, having to re-release your operating system, or if you are in an office environment where you know that they're pushing updates to your computer, all of those things are examples of waste in our processes. And we have many opportunities to be able to fix those problems. And that's the focus of Lean. Now, we said underneath the continuous improvement umbrella, we have Lean, focusing on the elimination of waste, and we have Six Sigma. So what is Six Sigma? Six Sigma is a methodology to problem solving. Six Sigma utilizes data and statistics to help to solve our problems. And the focus for Six Sigma is the elimination of variation. So variation is not having that repeatable process with predictable results. The three focuses of Six Sigma are to identify, isolate, and eliminate variation. We want to prevent defects rather than detecting them. And there's some interesting statistics when it comes to detecting defects. Many companies believe if we just inspect everything, then we'll be able to prevent any defects going to our customers. Well, the reality is 100% inspection yields only 80% results, which means you're still going to have about 20% quote unquote escapes to your customer. So inspecting quality in is not what you want to do. You want to build a quality product, not inspect quality in. It's never going to catch everything by inspection. And the third focus of Six Sigma is proactive problem solving. So instead of firefighting, we are proactively problem solving. Now, Six Sigma in and of itself, the term Six Sigma is a mathematical function, and it means that you have 99.99966% yield. That means you have a very low margin of defects in your products. So you may be sitting there thinking, wow, we're probably not at that level. Tell you what, most companies aren't. Most companies, in my experience, if you combined all industries together, most companies would operate at a 3 or 4 Sigma level. Some of the best companies in the world that operate at about an 8 to 9 Sigma would be Lego. How many times have you gotten Legos that don't fit together? They've pretty much perfected their process. So what is variation? Variation is defined as an unexpected outcome, uncontrolled or unexpected, resulting in a dissatisfied customer. I went to my parents' house and I went to make a cup of coffee. They have a fancy coffee pot, right? So it's got the coffee pot and it has the Keurig for a single cup dispenser. And I did the normal everyday routine, right? So I made sure there was water in the coffee pot. I put the Keurig cup in and closed the lid, put my coffee pot under, or pardon me, coffee cup under, pushed the button, and literally hot coffee grounds exploded all over me and the window behind the coffee maker. And that would be variation, right? So that is not what you expect to happen when you make a cup of coffee in the morning. And it is very much an undesirable result. So variation in Six Sigma is bad. Waste in lean is bad. Now, when we're talking about lean and Six Sigma, we have to consider and talk about the culture within your organization. Now, as we go through some examples today, and as we talk about that, and if you read my books, you'll know that I'm very passionate about these subjects, and I am a true believer and have seen with my own eyes how much of a difference this can make in an organization. Now, maybe you're thinking, hey, this might be pretty cool to look at and see how we can make our organization better. It is, but you have to understand the culture of your organization first. So, more than anything else, when we talk about Lean and Six Sigma concepts, we are talking about a cultural change within your organization. We are asking you and your team members to change the way that they're doing their processes. We're asking them to problem solve differently. In some people's minds, they're going to think, man, this takes so much longer than it did before. But in reality, you're going to be able to get to the root cause and permanently solve your problem sooner. Where this doesn't work is where I come into companies and I talk to them. They're like, I saw one of your seminars or I've read one of your books, and I think this would be great for our organization. I said, fantastic. Let's talk about what problems you have to solve. And they literally cannot come up with one. So some of you may be thinking, wow, I want to go work for that company. In many regards, those companies haven't even dipped their toe into looking at data. They have no data to look at to understand whether they are doing better or worse as they make changes. They don't believe that they need to change, or there is not a catalyst for change in their organization. So those are all things that you have to keep in mind before you start your Lean Six Sigma journey. What is your culture now, and are they ready for a big change? Now, easy, everyday lean tools can solve about 95% of your problems. So it's very apparent the tools are not hard. By the way, none of these tools cost lots of money. I know that's a concern for me as a business owner and for everyone else. We're not saying you have to go buy a piece of software to do this. We're not saying you have to go buy pegboards and do all sorts of shadow boards and invest a ton of money in this. Most of these tools that we talk about from a lean perspective, you already have everything that you need to be able to do it. And also, when I engage with customers, they'll come to me hopefully with a problem to solve. And they're very anxious because they're like, how are you going to solve our problem for us? And I can't possibly know all the answers for all the different problems across all different industries. I'm just your guide. Right. So there is a genius in all of us. And it's my job to come in to clients and help to expose the genius in their own teams to solve their own problems. So I have to admit, sometimes it's hard because I have ideas, but I hold back on those ideas unless it's absolutely necessary. But every single team I've ever worked with has come to the conclusion and solved their own problems with maybe a little help from me in teaching what tools might be helpful for them. So some lean tools that we have on the board here, 5S, which we'll talk about here in a second, visual factory or visual management, Kaizen and Kanban, Poka-yoke or mistake proofing, TPM, total productive maintenance, standard work, and the concept of a pull system. So 95% of your problems can be solved using these concepts. And 5% you bring out the big guns of Six Sigma, where we have to start doing some math, right? But you need data to be able to do that. So we can do some math that's not hard and not scary, but to be able to look and understand trends. And the cool part about these concepts is that if you have the data and we start to look at it, you can actually help predict the future. And it's hard to believe, but it's true. If we start to look at your data, we can start to look at trends over time and see where the variation is occurring. And we can actually predict when something is going to go wrong in the future if we don't fix it now. So that's why I love these concepts because they are really so powerful. So when we're talking about Lean and Six Sigma, we mentioned the word value a couple times. So what is value, right? So value is defined by the customer, no matter how silly an item or task may seem to us. The value that the customer places on an item is based on their perception of its usefulness and how necessary a given product or service is to them. So trust me, I've been in situations, I have a good friend online with me now that used to work with me at Jabil. We had a customer that came to us many years ago and they wanted their product shipped in pink boxes. And I don't even remember the name of the customer. And we all looked at them like, what? You want your product shipped in pink boxes? Of course, we could do that, right? Now that I help the packaging industry, when I say pink boxes, they all look at me like, oh, boxes are brown. That costs a lot of money. But that customer is willing to pay the extra to have their products shipped in pink boxes, and they found value in it, so they paid for it. Now, there's other things we can talk about value, and I always think these are funny examples, right? So a Chia Pet, and that one looks a little sorry, but a Chia Pet. Somebody finds value in that Chia Pet. Every year we see the advertisements at Christmas. They have been making Chia Pets for 50 years. So somebody is finding value in buying those little things that are now, besides that little dog or whatever lamb it's supposed to be, now you can get Bob Ross's head or unicorn or things like that. Look at the value we've placed on our smartwatches, right? And the other day I was running around inside the house. My husband called me from our workshop and I answered my phone on my watch. And then he's like, that is so clear. The value I place on this is very high because I ride horses. This has a fall detection that will automatically call my husband if I fall. So that's the value I place. Now, other people that may be runners, you place high value. Usually I hear from a Garmin watch. So, and that's something that I would not want. Now, let's look at receipts, right? So now when you go to the grocery store, they ask whether you want a receipt. And the Walgreens will ask you if you want it emailed to you or printed. And some people need the receipts. So as a business owner, yes, I need the receipts. And some people find no value in the receipts at all. Just within the news within the last 2 days, Target is going to stop taking personal checks. So they have done a study in regards to personal checks, and they are no longer going to be accepting that as a form of payment. So they are devaluing the payment of personal checks. Interesting concept. But when we define value as defined by our customer, we define it in 3 different ways. So the first is value add. It means it's done right the first time. Now, that doesn't mean we're perfect. It just means we have a repeatable process with predictable results. It changes or transforms the product. If you're in manufacturing, you would understand it changes form, fit, or function. And the customer recognizes the value, they're willing to pay for it. So typical things and typical examples I like to give is on a car. So what do you find value add on a car, right? For most people, anybody that lives up north, like we do, heated seats, heated steering wheel. For us, it's towing capacity. We're willing to pay extra to get those things. The other way we define value is through business non-value add. Business non-value add are activities that are required by the business to execute the value added work, but add no real value to the customer. So what does that mean? That means any extra work that you may have to do. Let's say you have the government as a client, or you're in the insurance industry. As I have some insurance industry friends or financial industry friends online today. There are documents and forms and data that you have to be able to provide to the government, but it doesn't make your product any better, but it does keep you out of jail. So that's business non-value add. And of course, non-value added activities would be utilizing resources, but adds no value, which, by the way, is our definition of waste. So when we look at our processes, we want to look at each step in our process and understand what type of value that particular step or that particular process is providing to our customers. Believe it or not, most steps are non-value add, because at the end of the day, the customer is only willing to pay for a very small amount of that process. Now, speaking of processes, what is a process? How do we define that? A process is something that transforms inputs into outputs. That's what a process does. That's its only job, is to transform inputs into outputs. We're surrounded by processes every day. And believe it or not, sometimes we call process habit. So there's habits that we have every day or processes, regardless of the type of work you do. You have your process to get up in the morning. You have your process to know when to fill your tank with gas. Some people wait till the light goes on, and that's their process. Other people wait till you're down to a quarter of a tank. There's processes that surround us every single day. And we just have to take time to take a step back to really look and evaluate the process to see what type of waste do we have? Do we have waste? And what type of value? So if we ask you the question, which I will, we're going to use a technology called Slido here in one moment. If we took all the processes in the world and we averaged them all together, what is the percentage of waste in an average process? So remember, lean is about focusing on the elimination of waste. Waste is something that utilizes resources but adds no value. And then, of course, value is defined by the customer. It's something that they're willing to pay for. So if you would go on to slido.com on your phone or your computer, or use the QR code on the screen and go to our session number 2907618. There is no space when you type that in. They just do that for the visual. So go on to slido.com or use the QR code and go on to 2907618. Give you a second to get there. If I flip this too fast, it'll be on the next page anyways. Okay. So even if you missed it on that page, please go on to the next page and answer this question on Slido. So on Slido, what is the percentage of waste in an average process? What is your guess for the percentage of waste in an average process? So we took one guess, 50%, all the processes in the world. We had another guess at 50. So Slido is a cool tool that I can use to interact with you virtually. And I love this when I speak at conferences. It allows some great engagement. So we've got a range here between 95% and 20%, with 50% right in the middle. So the average process contains 95% waste. So there's evidence of waste in 95% of the steps. And when we're speaking of waste, we're speaking specifically of defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and excess processing. So it's quite a bit. When we go through our value stream mapping, where we are going to be looking at each process and each step individually, it's probably more on the side of about 99% waste. So you have two choices when you hear that, right? Gear up or give up. So obviously, we're not here to give up. We're here to gear up, and we're here to be able to make things better. And of course, it's continuous improvement. We're always going to make things better. So, how can we learn to see waste in our processes and not end up like this, right? We don't want to end up with our head in the sand. We have to be able to see waste in our processes so we can continuously improve. So, where do you start a journey? And again, going back to my previous comment in regards to your culture within your organization has to be ready for the change. So, where do you start? I would really suggest that you start with the area that bugs you the most. In this area, by the way, don't try to boil the ocean. This does not have to be a big, grandiose area. This doesn't have to be, we're going to focus on our inventory turns for the year, or we're going to reduce defects across the plant, or reduce scrap, or just pick an area that bugs you the most that you can put your arms around and really focus on. Many people in their Lean Six Sigma journey get distracted and they want this big bang. And unfortunately, those big bangs, they take a bit of time to complete. So people have a tendency to then lose faith on these concepts because they're not seeing those immediate results. And as we all know, we live in an immediate result world. So pick an area that bugs you the most. Is it a report you have to manually run? Is it a web page online within your company that you can't find any information in? Is it the way that the file structure is? It could be anything. And you're going to apply these lean tools to be able to fix them. So I'm going to talk to you about just a couple tools today because, of course, you want to learn something besides what is Lean in Six Sigma. So does this bug you? Does this bug you to see somebody's desk that's just a disaster, right? Where you've just got old coffee cups and I like Post-it notes, but not all over my desk like that. So if this is an area that bugs you, it could be and I always suggest understand how to apply these concepts at home first and then at work. So this could be your backpack, you could be your desk, this could be your vehicle, the back of your vehicle, or this could be your kitchen cupboard, or this could be your maintenance closet, your supply closet at work, your desk at work, anything like that. So if this bugs you, you can use the concept of 5S to be able to fix it. 5S stands for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. The concept of 5S is a place for everything and everything in its place. And it's very easy to apply, very easy to use these concepts. The hardest part of 5S is sustain. So we can use 5S to create a place and a process. So I would much rather see this, and I have to be kept out of the organizational store, the organizer store, because I can't handle it. I'd spend too much money. But you can easily do any 5S things with a trip to the Dollar Tree, honestly. Does this bug you? I can't find my keys. I can't find my keys. I have to leave. I have to go to an appointment. I can't find my keys. Or you're trying to figure out to get out of the office at the end of the day and you've lost your keys in your giant backpack or purse. Does that bug you? Another concept in lean and continuous improvement is the easy concept of visual management. And you're surrounded by visual management every day, right? We all understand a stoplight, red, yellow, green. Every stop sign is in red. That's visual management. We automatically know that. So visual management in real life, we can look at here. This just makes my soul happy to see this. Over here, we have all these containers all nicely labeled. Over here, it's the picture of the blood again, but if you didn't know this, every topper to those blood vials means something to the phlebotomist. And this is my way to not lose my keys. All of our keys are in carabiners, and those carabiners get hooked either to my purse or my backpack when I leave. When my husband leaves, he hooks his carabiner with his car keys onto his pants. So we don't lose keys. When we come in the house, we put the keys back on the hook. It's 5S in visual management. His carabiner is blue, my carabiner is red. So visual management, it just makes things easy, makes things apparent where to put things back. Does this bug you? Do you feel like in your processes, you're in a boat with somebody else and you guys are rowing in two different directions, right? You're trying to go this way and that person's trying to go that way, and your processes are just a mess, right? So what tools can we use for that? We can use the concept of a value stream map. And I think this is one of the most powerful lean tools that you can use. And we visually depict step by step each item or process step and a very scoped process that we talk about. And this is where we talk about waste, we talk about value. For this example, on purpose, not easy to read, all of the light yellow Post-it notes are process steps, and the blue ones that you see hiding behind the yellow ones indicate a step that has waste. So as you can see in this particular process, we had 100% waste. Now, one question I normally get is, will you ever get to zero waste? No, you'll never get to zero waste. There always will be some inherent waste in a process that we can't remove, but you can work to reduce it as much as possible. So again, our value stream map is that visual representation of how the process actually works, not how the process should work. Okay, there's no judgment here. It is what it is. And by the way, the focus on a value stream map is about the process, not the person. So we're not blaming anyone in this. Odds are, if you're doing a value stream map, your value stream map will look very different than whatever your standard work document is. And that's just the reality of it. It's a process map on steroids. So in a value stream map, we look at time, ownership, wait time, waste, and opportunities for improvement. This is where all those great opportunities come up. So many ideas are coming out of doing that value stream map in order to solve the problem, and ideas that you wouldn't normally have until you started looking at it at this level of detail. So do these concepts really work? Well, of course they do. Let's look at some real world examples. A company needed to produce a report every quarter to understand user access to their systems. The report was generated manually, and it took 14 hours to complete each quarter. The one person was doing it. They had to download data from various systems and do Excel VLOOKUPs for the whole thing. There was no verification or validation. If you've ever worked in a defense area or are a defense contractor, you know that those two words are very important, verification and validation. After applying lean concepts, it now takes less than 1 minute to generate the report, which has been verified and validated. It was a fantastic Kaizen event. In that event, we actually had 2 programmers sitting with us, and they were able to get about 90% of the work done during the event and finish up the rest about a week later. Let's look at another one. An average time for meeting a student on campus, so we're talking about on-campus interviews for internships, to making the final decision to hire them as a summer intern, took, for this company, at least 3 months to complete. All the student information was manually tracked in Excel, and all student resumes were manually scanned into a share folder. They received 1,200 resumes per year for about 54 openings. Now, if you know anything about college recruiting and HR, recruiting in general, right, which is really challenging right now, you know that you can't wait 3 months to get back to a candidate, especially a candidate you're really interested in. You're going to lose them. So by applying lean concepts and tools, we were able to now reduce that from 3 months to 12 days from meeting the student to making the hiring decision, which was absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, I need to give you a manufacturing example. The average time to change over a manufacturing line for this customer from making one product to making another was 1 hour. So 1 hour to do a changeover. And if you know anything about manufacturing, you know that we want to reduce that time as much as possible. Now, after applying lean concepts, the team was able to save 15 minutes per changeover using very simple 5S concepts. Again, cost them no money. They were able to implement it. And they came back to class and they were kind of like, gosh, we only saved 15 minutes per changeover. However, as the operations manager was in class with us, he said, just a second. And he did the calculation. Well, that was one line that we talked about. So 15 minutes per changeover for that one line. They have about six changeovers. They have a very multiple shifts. So 6 changeovers in a day, and they had 6 lines. So it turned out to be $500,000 in a year in savings in just one plant, and they have 6 plants. Again, it wasn't rocket science. It was just they needed to take a look at the process with a different lens. You'll hear me sometimes say, put on your lean goggles, right? Or put on your lean glasses. And what can you see by looking at things from a different perspective? So Lean and Six Sigma concepts work in all industries. So IT, legal services, agriculture, food processing, education, healthcare, manufacturing, packaging and logistics, banking and insurance, every industry it works in. I've worked in every single one of those industries with customers. These concepts work everywhere. You just have to be ready to do it. And these are just a few of our customers. As you can see, they do range from all of those different types of industries also. And it's really exciting to be able to help a wide variety of people in a wide variety of industries. There is always a common underlying theme, but every experience is different. Now, with our organization, we can help you achieve revolutionary results. And we do that through Kaizen facilitation, which means this is a rapid problem-solving event where we come in and we help you to solve a very specific problem in a very short amount of time. In general, Kaizens can run from 2 to 5 days in length. We offer coaching and mentoring, education enhancement, and customized solutions. So we have some standard training, it's your education enhancement. And some customers want something custom for them because maybe they have been on a lean journey before and they want something a little different, or maybe this is their first time through. For most of the customers that we work with, this is something that they have visited in the past, and they had some challenges being able to be successful with it. So we're there to help them get over that line and be able to get it to the finish. Most customers, by the way, that have done it before and it wasn't successful, it was because they decided to launch it and pick a huge project to work on instead of starting with those quick wins, or you'll, of course, have heard the terminology low-hanging fruit. And it really is a journey. So it's a journey to continuous improvement. So I want to thank you for today and thank you for showing up and being here. If this was really sparking some interest for you and you think, man, I want to learn more about this, this is very cool. You can learn even more about how to solve problems using lean tools in a virtual event. This one is a paid for event on October 17th. It's will be online via Zoom, and it's from 9 to 3 Central Time. And you can register for the class on Eventbrite via that link. And we go through all of the lean tools that we showed you before. We have hands-on virtual experience and examples. So we're able to interact. It is not death by PowerPoint. So if you have any questions, this is the QR code to our website. Please feel free to reach out and we'd be more than happy to help you on your Lean and Six Sigma journey. So thank you so much for being here today. If you have any questions, please let me know. And it's great to see some good friends here too. Thanks, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katie.
If
Take care.
anybody wanted to see this or hear the recording, it'll be placed on YouTube this afternoon.
Thanks so much, Katie.
Thanks, Jay. Good to see you.
See you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Jenny.